right, welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the podcast where two guys use the power of the internet to watch random movies they haven't seen before. And with me, as always, is the wonderful, the amazing, the incredible Leon the Professional, to my Snake Plissken. I don't know. Is he an assassin? Anyway, I'm Noah Saturn. This is Kyle Mulford.
You get to be Snake Plissken?
Yeah.
I want to be Snake Plissken.
You can be Jack Burton.
Oh, sweet. That's even that made me better.
They're both played by Kurt Russell, so it's pretty even.
I want to be the Living Planet, just because that sounds cool.
It does sound cool. What about the one with Kurt Russell when he was like a little kid and there was a monkey?
I don't know, but can I be Captain Ron? That was Kurt Russell, right?
I think so, as long as I can be Stuntman Mike.
Maybe we should just watch all the Kurt Russell movies.
I think that's a good idea.
So what did we watch this time?
We watched Assassination Nation. But what have you been doing before that, Kyle? We've got our segment, What You Watching?
What you watching?
We talk about mini reviews.
All right. I got a few that'll just mention and move on. The Mule was a movie. Old Man Drug Runner. Okay.
I mean, the best part about The Mule is when they talk about it on Saturday Night Live. Where John Mulaney and Pete Davidson talk about how it's like a superhero movie for people in their 90s because he's about a man who can drive by himself.
That is true. It's amazing that guy's still driving around an old pickup truck there. It was good. That's all I need to say. I finally watched a Dinner for Schmucks for the first time. And it was one of those that, have you seen it?
Never saw it.
Oh, okay. It was one of those that like some parts of it were just like almost too awkward, but I don't know. It was fun to watch just for the ending with like all these different people, and I can't even remember who all was. Like Jeff Dunham was one of the guests at the thing, and then there was a couple other cameos in there that I was like, oh, they were in this. Oh, they were in this. That was weird.
Jeff Goldblum?
No, Jeff Goldblum was not a guest.
It should have been Jeff Goldblum.
I watched What Men Want.
What do they want?
Apparently, I learned from this movie that because we are men, we either A, drink on the job, B, have a coke problem, or C, have a really weird sexual fetish.
Yeah, that's about right.
So, they hit all three of those on the head for me, I think. So, there was some funny parts, but the main character, Taraji P. Henson, I like her a lot, but like her character was unlikable for most of the movie because she was so abrasive, and it was just like it was supposed to be her progressing and learning, but I was like, I liked her so little that I was like, okay, you're just getting on my nerves.
Well, I'm sure it's less creepy than what women want.
Yeah. I saw Creed 2. That's a very good movie. I didn't know what to expect, if it was going to be just a rehash with the Drago thing, but they did a good job with retelling or bringing that character back in and actually making it a good movie still without it feeling like a rehash of Rocky 4. I watched Lego Movie 2, the second part, and it was good. First one's much better. Go watch that one. I watched Escape Room. I don't think this got much in the way of reviews, and I don't think people liked it much.
I remember it was the thing that happened.
But I had a good time. I thought it was fun. Just the different... It reminded me of watching like the Final Destination movies, where it's like, oh, this is a different room with different death traps in it. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase.
That movie was in theaters for like a week.
Yeah.
And then disappeared.
You know what it felt like? It felt like a made-for-TV movie that was elevated by Sophia Lillis. I think that she's going to be a star to watch for between the It movies and Nancy Drew. I think she's going to be good.
All right.
Yeah, she elevated the material in that movie, at least. I watched The Stuntman, 1980, Peter O'Toole, and there's a guy on the run from the law, and he ends up on a movie set and becomes a stuntman for the movie. And it's just crazy because the things that the director goes through.
And the director is Peter O'Toole.
Yes, and
nice.
And he the things he does to get the proper like reactions out of scenes from these characters in the movie is crazy. And that's part of the fun of watching this movie, because you're just like, holy crap. There's one scene that he wants Barbara Hershey is the female lead, and he wants her to have a certain like reaction, like this sad emotional scene or whatever. And the night before, he invites her parents to the set to watch the dailies, just as, oh, this is your daughter working, whatever. Yeah. And her lovemaking scene accidentally makes it into the dailies.
Oh, no.
And so right before the scene, the next day, he goes, "I'm sorry, but it was just a bad thing happened yesterday." And the parents were still on the set. "Your parents saw this scene?" And then she just starts crying and he rolls camera.
That sounds like something Stanley Kubrick would do and probably did do.
Probably. You wonder how much this came from like real life directors.
I guarantee you the screenwriter knew some of those people.
Yeah, and so it was an interesting movie.
That's funny.
I saw Late Night because that's on Amazon Prime. That's Emma Thompson's always good, and it was a solid movie.
I would watch a late night TV show if it was Emma Thompson was hosting.
Yeah,
even just as herself.
I saw Fighting with My Family.
Did you fight with your family over it?
Nope, they were all in bed.
Okay.
Really good movie. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, because this is about the female wrestler Paige and her journey to get into the WWE. She was from over in England, and it's just a really good story about like sticking with your dreams, like sticking with family, but also following your dreams, even if it like hurts too, because her brother really wanted into the WWE and she got in instead. Mm-hmm. And I think he wanted it more. And so like she almost quit because it hurt him so bad. But like, you know, they worked it out because she ended up in the WWE. Yes. But just a really, really good movie. And The Rock comes back just to give some of his old WWE lines.
Can you smell what he was cooking?
I couldn't. I didn't have smell-o-vision on. It
wasn't a 4D movie?
No.
It should have been, just for that scene alone.
And finally, another Sophia Lillis movie. I watched It Chapter 2. And for everyone saying that, like, you know, I've been hearing some things about, like, how it's too long and too jumbled and, like, too repetitive. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed everything about it. It brought in some of the stuff from the book that the 1990 miniseries couldn't bring in. And there's still obviously some stuff that had to be left out because it's a 1,000-page book. But
yeah, it's a very long book, and much of it was probably written under the influence.
Yeah,
Stephen
for
King
sure, because it was the
first...
80s. So, and that was
definitely in King's Coke days.
Yeah, that was the days when he wrote books that he doesn't remember writing.
Yes, which I think is amazing.
And the fact that he pumped out such great books while he's like completely high out of his mind.
A Titanic talent, to be sure.
Yeah. And he actually has a great cameo in It Chapter 2, just because one thing that a lot of people have a problem with Stephen King, and they have for years, is him ending books. Like, most people don't like the ending of his books. They're all weak. So one of the characters in It, played by James McAvoy, he's a writer, and everyone tells him how much his endings suck. And so Stephen King gets it. I'm spoiling a little cameo in a 2-hour, 50-minute movie. So one little spoiler. He owns a shop, and James McAvoy goes, "Oh, he saw his book on the counter." He goes, "Oh, do you want me to sign that?" He's like, "Nah, I hated the ending anyway."
Nice.
I thought that was a good little jab at himself, actually.
That's good. I'm glad he's at a point where he can sort of
I don't
make fun of himself.
I don't know if he was at that point back in the 80s and 90s.
I'm not sure he was either, but I'm glad he's able to be there.
Considering he made Maximum Overdrive because he was pissed off at all the people like making crappy movies out of his books, he was going to show them how it was done.
Supposedly there's even like more gore and other terrible things on the negatives, but they're locked away in a vault somewhere that he won't let out.
That movie's crazy fun too.
I know.
I saw that in the theater at Film Scene last year.
Come for the movie, stay for the soundtrack. It's AC/DC.
Oh, that's good stuff. So I think of all of those movies, the ones I would really recommend are Fighting with My Family, Creed 2, and It Chapter 2. So a couple of sequels that actually were really solid. So there's a couple of recommendations for you.
I saw Hunt for the Wilder People. It's amazing.
That's a good one.
It.
Yeah. I'm excited for his new movie,
yes,
Jojo Rabbit.
It'll be a lot of fun.
So anyway, that's our...
Suppose we should get into the meat of this?
Let's get there. Assassination Nation. What's your quick snowball pitch before we get into the meat and bones of it?
And this is the story of how my town, Salem, lost its mind.
If I had to describe the emotion of this movie, because I feel like each movie has a primary mood or emotion. This film is angry.
Yeah, I would go with that. Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
And it lets out its frustration at the end.
Yes.
Very much so. This movie had a lot to say.
Yes.
And for the most part, I think it worked pretty well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was all completely clear, at least to me, but...
Yeah, there was some stuff. I think they tried to... I kind of think they tried to show both sides of a lot of stuff, so that might have made it a little muddied.
But I do like the fact that this movie swings for the fences and holds nothing back, which I can definitely appreciate it, because it does not play anything safe, which I really like. Also,
not at all.
Also, it had Bill Skarsgård, so it had Pennywise, so that made me laugh.
So I saw two Bill Skarsgård movies this week.
Now you just need Deadpool 2 for a nice trilogy.
Who was he in Deadpool 2?
He was the member of X-Force who could, like, puke or something. It was like Spew or whatever his name was.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah,
okay.
He was in it for all of 5 minutes, along with the rest of X-Force, unless your name is Domino.
That's awesome. So first of all, this movie starts out and just tells you this is what you're going to expect. And they flash a bunch of scenes, and it just says at the beginning in big words, trigger warning. So, of course, we've got the whole trigger thing. I hate that online. But I love that they put it in this movie.
That just kind of made me roll my eyes. Like, those are trigger warnings do have legitimate uses. And they shouldn't be, I guess, memeified.
Yeah, and I feel like with this movie, it was almost making fun of the fact that people abuse that stupid trigger warning thing. So I actually liked that put in there, because then it just flashes a whole bunch of scenes from the actual movie. Mm-hmm. It's just like sexual content, extreme masculinity, and I can't even think of everything that was on there. There's so many things that flashed up on the screen. Mm-hmm. So, and you have the main character Lily narrating and saying how, hey, this is how our town went crazy. And then
showed people in masks in the burbs. That's always a healthy sign when people are in like V for Vendetta style creepy masks or whatever. Yeah,
they're just driving down. Someone's driving down the street, and it's narrating, and everybody out mowing the lawn, creepy, like just a mask over their face, and out for a jog, mask over the face.
And the video's like, let me start from the beginning.
Yeah, and then we go back to her just meeting with her friends, and of course, because they're teenagers, they're seniors in high school, a lot of sex talk, talking about boyfriends.
Well, I do like the fact that then just it cuts to like a quick scene of her putting her fingers in her mouth or something, and her boyfriend taking a video is like, let's skip that. That's gross.
Yeah.
It just goes to like family dinner.
and then while they're talking and everything, someone gets a notification that the mayor of the town, Mayor Bartlett, got hacked, and
someone puts it on the internet.
And he actually sends it to all of the students in the high school, which was, seems weird until
I didn't know that you could do that on this particular email, student body ad. Yeah, which just sends it to everybody.
Is that a thing now? Because
I feel like it'd be useful for like a principal sending out announcements or emergencies and stuff.
Because when I was in high school, the internet was brand new. Like, most of us didn't even have a computer in our house. So
you still had to have a crank to use the internet back then.
I did. I had like a foot pedal. It was like kind of like a bike thing. It was like while I'm sitting at the desk, I'm just like pedaling away.
I could see that.
So that my hands are free for the keyboard.
Makes sense.
But no, so like I didn't even have an email address till probably college. So I've seen movies where people send out mass emails to all students in high school. So I was wondering if it's kind of like college, where you get like nowadays high schools give out an email address to their students.
Yeah, and I had an email in high school.
Okay, so yeah,
just like it's standard practice.
This is new to me because I'm old. And
man Kyle.
I'm too old to have to have had that, and my daughters are too young to have had that yet.
Yeah, so
they're not quite to the high school yet.
Yes, it's okay, old man Kyle.
So everybody gets that sent to them, and then we cut to the girls at a party, because that's what you do when you're in high school.
What high school do these people to go to? Man, I had a really boring high school.
I know, actually.
I barely went to... I mean, the parties that we did, all we did was play Super Smash Brothers.
I didn't even go to parties, so, I mean, they happened. I was from small town Iowa, so they were the out in the woods with the beer parties,
as opposed to someone's basement with the beer.
And we got Lily getting text from someone. She's there with her boyfriend,
Mark,
played by Skarsgård, played by Pennywise.
Pennywise the Mark.
And she's getting a text from someone else, and it's doing that thing that typically I hate in movies nowadays because everyone texts, and that's the only way to get if that's the way you're getting information across, you got to put it up on the screen.
I think it's economical because then you don't have to waste time shooting to get like a close-up of someone's phone.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to do it. It can be used in very interesting, creative ways. Like I remember, like this.
But that's just old man me saying I hate that everybody texts.
Back in my day, I liked it when they only sent telegrams or Western Union, so you could get 100 years later.
I still, to this day, I do text, but if it goes beyond like 2 times like sending a text, then it's a conversation, and I stop and I dial the phone and talk to the person.
You like to talk to people on the phone? You're such a weirdo.
I know, right? Whoever talks to the phone? That's not what they're for. But she's getting texts from Daddy.
Don't ever look at me with that face again. If you guys could see this face, you'd be as scared as I am right now.
Oh, it's kind of scary that she's getting sexy texts from Daddy.
Stop that. Of course, it's a slang term for daddy, which is like a sexy older man.
Yeah, but we don't know who this is yet, and and then we have her transgender friend, who's actually played by a transgender actress. This is actually her first or second role, I think.
All right.
I think she went on to do that show on Amazon Prime. Oh, what is that called? With the guy from Arrested Development.
Oh, Transparent? Was she
Transparent?
in that too?
I think that I saw in her credits that she's on Transparent also.
Cool. Good for her.
But yeah,
she's getting roles.
Yeah, she's trying to get with the lead football player. And so we got Lily getting text from Daddy.
So there's Lily, and who are the names of the 4 characters?
And then Bex is the transgender, and then the 2 sisters. That must have been adopted or something, because I think they were sisters in the movie. But Em and Sarah.
Em and Sarah, okay. So those are our 4 key players here.
Yeah, and so Em and Sarah don't have as big a role. It's more... Lily is the main protagonist.
Lily is the lead.
Beck has
it's her
a
and kind of
secondary.
her girl squad.
Yeah, and then Bex kind of has a secondary like thing going on, story-wise. But then we go to a montage at the party, and we've got like different screens and everything.
Yeah, it's interesting. It uses kind of like 3 screens and separated in the middle, but it's all shot vertically, like someone would be shooting the video on a phone. So I thought it was interesting.
And can we like send that vertical video PSA to all the people who made this movie?
Well, I think it makes sense in this context.
Oh, it did, because
a
lot of people like that's how they video.
It's very common.
So it made sense within context because people shoot that way, but it drives me crazy that people do shoot that way.
It also reminded me of the Napoleon film, from the Abel Gantz's Napoleon from 1927.
I don't know that one.
It's hard to find. For a long time it was only on VHS, but it was restored. Now it's on DVD and Blu-ray. But basically it was a silent film, and during the finale for this big battle with Napoleon, it actually had, in the theater you would have 3 different screens right next to each other, similar to effects, except it'd be 3 like full-size theater screens, and then it would be filmed, and then there would be like basically 3 different projectors running at the same time for this crazy finale. It's really cool.
Oh wow, that's insane. So this montage, it's got a montage. There's a lot of voiceovers where Lily kind of spouts the ideas of the film.
Her thoughts, her monologues.
Yeah, and while this is going on, we have Lily sending naughty pics to Daddy, and the football player gets with Bex, and they get together, and then because she's transgender, he says, you got to keep your mouth shut about this, about us getting together. So, and then they drive to school the next day talking about how great the Bartlett scandal is. They're like, I love a scandal, and that's kind of true. Like people like
whenever Celebrity Magazine someone goes downhill.
Yeah, and like what's his face, the Eagles frontman. Now I can't. Don Henley says everybody likes dirty laundry. So they're talking about how great. Oh, he's such a perv, and like, oh, he's good, and he's such a hypocrite. And this is a thing that we have a problem with. You know, that one of the things of oh, it's always the people who are so against gays that end up being the closeted, person. And that's kind of what they did in this
case,
movie.
Yeah.
So, and
he likes to have sex with like big burly men.
Well, he's dressing up in lingerie
or
and stuff like
yeah.
that. So then we cut to Lily in school, and she's in the principal's office for drawing nude pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks to the principal about like, this is what, because she was supposed to draw life, and she's like, this is what life is. People send nude pictures to each other all the time, and I like
take a certain number of selfies, blah blah blah. You have to take it just the right angle, just the right way
to make yourself look
kind
a
of
certain
mini monologue.
way. Yeah, and the movie has a lot of good points and a lot of good arguments, because it's like, this is what it is. The problem is that that's the way it is, and something has to change. Like, she is saying this is what life is like for high schoolers now, but she's playing a high schooler, so she just accepts that that's what you're supposed to do. Well, no. As a high schooler, you should not be sending nude pics. You can
it's a tough, very tough social situation, which I was never a teenage girl in high school, so I don't know what it was like. But you were in high school before the telephone was invented.
We still had phones attached to the wall when I was in high school.
You couldn't send a picture over the phone.
I just sent it a fax machine.
You had to take the tintype down to the down to Matthew Brady, and then for all of his Civil War photography, if you want.
With this comes a risk of being put on a legitimate risk of being put on a sex offenders list.
Yes, that is
and that is going to ruin the rest of your life. So this is my PSA to all you high schoolers. If you're listening to our podcast, it's not worth it. Do not send dirty pics over the phone.
Don't send them. And if you just happen to receive one for whatever reason, delete it as fast as you can.
Yeah. Or go straight to your parents and straight to the cops. Don't forward that picture. Don't do anything with it. Say, I was sent this picture. What do I do?
I was sent this picture from this number,
and
I just got to come clean.
Yes. So it's not worth it. There's way too much trouble involved. But anyway, that's the life that like some of these kids are, especially in cities. I'm sure it's probably even more prevalent. I don't know. So her argument is, this is what life is. So why can't I draw nude pictures? Because this is what.
And she does bring up legitimate points. What's artistic nudes?
Yeah.
Versus kind of arguably an obscenity sort of idea.
Because there's also the other argument she has is, just because a woman is wearing such and such clothes or is nude, why is that automatically sexual? And that's a problem. That's the you were asking for it case.
Yeah, basically, like the same thing where shirtless guys running down the street, then no one blinks an eye.
But if a woman's running down in a bikini top,
yes,
then all of a sudden, she's asking for it. No, how do you jump to that conclusion? That's
sexism.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, let's continue on.
Yeah, sorry, went on a tangent there.
This has been another episode of Kyle's Tangent Corner.
Then speaking of which, she goes on to the bathroom to send more dirty pics to Daddy. Oh, just Daddy.
Stop.
And then the Bartlett is going to hold a press conference and go talk to a big crowd, and instead he gets on stage and shoots himself.
Yep.
So there's that. And a guy from the political office is talking to the principal, and then all of a sudden in the school, and all because all the students got the thing.
The big underlying plot is that there's some hacker who goes by the name Erostimus or whatever.
Yeah.
Who's just hacking into people's private files and photos of this school in this small town, and then kind of just sending it to everyone and exposing all these dirty secrets and dirty laundry. Yeah,
and the fact that they're sending it to all the students in the high school, that's why they're going to the high school to go, it's got to be a student, because they're only sending to all of the students.
So that's kind of one of the underlying plot points. It kind of starts the fire and maybe pours some gasoline on it later.
Yeah, and so the principal finds out right then. He gets a call and finds out that he's been hacked in his phone. And another thing that it talks about, he goes home and talks to his wife about how if he's not been deleting his texts, so like everything for the past 5 years since he's got that phone, or since that SIM card that he has, everything that he's kept, now that he's been hacked, anyone can read all of his texts and emails for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's always out there. So like, this is a cautionary tale of everything you put out there, it's out there forever. It's, it's just, don't put it out there.
It reminds me of that John Delaney bit. You should be not John Mulaney, not John Delaney, the politician. John Mulaney, the comedian, where in one of his stand-ups he talks about how like his roommate was going through this big lawsuit or something. And then he sent an email from when you were like a college student. And of course that got brought up later in court. And the email was, it's like, sorry, I won't be able to go to like, I have to be late to improv practice or something. And he talked to us like, oh, that's a bummer. You want me to kill that guy for you? I mean, really kill that guy for you?
Oh.
Anyway, see you at improv practice. And he talked about how the most embarrassing part of that email was when he said, see you at improv practice. That's what it reminds me of. But yeah.
This
Same
podcast, once I put it on YouTube, it'll be out there forever.
Forever.
So, anyway, one thing that he has on his phone is pictures of his young daughters in the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
Which, the pictures do, you find out the pictures show everything. But Lily has a discussion with her parents. She goes, you have a picture of me in the bathtub on my mantle. Does that make you guys pedophiles? Like, they're jumping to the conclusion that he's a pedophile because he has pictures of his daughters in the bathtub. Most parents have a picture of their kid in a bathtub at some point or another.
Yes, I've got a picture of my dog in the bathtub. And he's always nude.
He's always naked. He's running around the house naked all the time.
We take him out. He goes for a walk naked. He poops and pees in the middle of the park.
God, your dog is just terrible.
He is crazy.
But so... These pictures are on his phone, so when he gets hacked, they get out there, and it's like, well, why do you have these on your phone? Because that's actually your personal property. Your phone is. Yeah, you got hacked, and now they're out there, but it wasn't you putting them out there.
Yeah.
So after that, we got, then we cut back to them in the school. Speaking of in the school, I don't know what this school is. And I think it's just because the movie is heavily stylized. They just sit there in a circle on the four of them in the gymnasium with the lights half dimmed. When one of the other girls later is having cheerleading practice with her friends, there's a giant American flag draped over on this, over the benches, and then the lights are like very spotlighted in there, and it's just them, no coach or anything. Like, yeah,
artistic license.
Yeah, there's very much like this school is just
hyper stylization.
Yeah,
it goes with it. Not all of it should be taken literally.
Yeah, because even the principal's office was very dimly lit. It just it's just kind of very.
It's more about mood than necessarily realism in high school, which definitely works in this film's favor.
Yeah. So it was just weird seeing it that way, but it fit the style of the movie really well.
Yeah, another person gets hacked, finds out that they were doing something terribly, and then this person is then compelled to commit homicide.
Yeah. Well, and while they're talking, they have another discussion about privacy, like fighting for your privacy versus accepting no privacy.
Yes.
And I think there should be a mid-ground. Like, you can accept that there's no privacy, but you should also fight to not be hacked and not be like, if you put something out there, it should be used in context. Too many things get sent out just bits and pieces, put out of context, and then all of a sudden you're a bad person.
Well, clearly, Kyle, the only answer is to go out to the woods with a typewriter and talk about, finally write that manifesto you've been thinking about kicking around your head for a few years, and then talk about the wonders of the post office.
Yes. But, the principal's going to make a speech, and he goes in, and they want him to, just apologize and resign peacefully, and he goes in and says, I will not resign. I'm going to leave it to all of you people to decide my fate. And they just all scream at him, pedophile, you can't believe you taught our kids, or the principal of our kids for so long.
Go well. And just remember, the name of this town is Salem.
Yes, so
and it's all about these teenage girls.
That is not coincidence.
It's something that gets blown out of proportion.
And they get hunted down.
You might say there should be a trial or something of some sort.
Yeah. So this is the part where you start seeing the mob mentality start, because then it cuts to someone at his door just busts the glass out and screams pedophile into his house, and he's wearing a mask and walks away. And then we go back to another party, and Lily and Mark have a fight at the party, and then they have makeup sex, and they're at the friend's house, and we find out that Daddy is Joel McHale. And he's a guy that she used to babysit for, and then...
He babysat his kid.
She babysat his kid.
Joel McHale, what are you doing here?
It's his community.
Nice.
And then we have the cops interrogating the kid because half of Salem gets hacked, and I don't know where they pick up this kid. I think it's because he's a computer guy.
Yeah, part of the computer club, and then
He's
one of my favorite lines of the sheriff going is just, "I hate the internet."
And Daddy is one of the people that got hacked, so all of his pictures of Lily get out there, but her face isn't on there, so now all of the students are trying to figure out who this mystery girl is.
Yep.
And then Lily talks to Bex about it because she goes, "Oh, those are my pictures," and they talk because she was able to confide in Bex. And then she does another voiceover about people, how they can be swayed one way or another because like 10 people think this, or 10% people think this, 10% of the people think this, and the rest of you can be swayed with a good argument. So, and it looks like the town is starting to be swayed into violence.
Yes.
Because everyone's texts are getting hacked in town.
Yes, it's like the scene from the Burn book. It's like when they start ripping up and throwing pages out of the Burn book in Mean Girls.
Yeah.
It's like, man, the Burn book got serious.
That's harsh.
Except it didn't have Tina Fey to straighten things out.
Then we cut to the football players, and they're all they find out about Mark, I think.
There's someone, we're gonna make fun of that guy, blah blah blah. We're gonna beat him up,
Yeah, teaching
terrible
him,
men being
teach
terrible,
him a lesson, and
toxic masculinity, And then Lily gets a text from Mark, "Hey, can you meet me by the locker room in 5?" He's like, "Okay." And then Mark figures out, "Oh, that's
your birthmark.
That's your birthmark." Then him and his friends kind of pretty much, it almost looks like it's going to be a rape.
Yeah, and that's what you're scared of because of the way this movie is going. You think it's going to be, but no, it's they do attack her, and then they take a picture of her birthmark and have her face in the picture and send it out. So
then they find out that she was the quote unquote Salem High slut,
and he's mad at her and says, "I'm going to humiliate you because you humiliated me," because she talked to her friends about how he does not perform cunnilingus. So he was pissed off about him being humiliated about that. So, and then Lily's parents find out about the pictures, and the loving parents that they are, they kick her out of the house.
Yeah,
it was one of those where I'm like, what? I mean,
sheesh.
You got no sympathy for your high school daughter, like she made a mistake, I
think that definitely goes as part of the spiraling of this town going out of control.
Just everyone going insane. And she's walking to her
and
friend's
it wasn't
house.
Daddy that got hacked, it was Lily that got hacked. So if I remember correctly, there was a scene on a laptop where like she was like, the hacker was like, "Such and such is coming for you."
Oh, okay.
Where she started, she was. So no one find out who Daddy was except maybe the audience.
That might be then.
Anyway,
but then she's walking to her friend's house because she got kicked out of her house and
doesn't even have shoes.
And then she starts getting taunted by guys because she sent sexy pics. This is another case of, she's asking for it. Well, she sent to one person, and now everyone thinks, well, if she does that, she's a slut and a whore, and hey, why don't you show us, and why don't you come do something for me? And one guy chases her with a knife, and whack, she gets him with a shovel.
Yes. It's great.
And then we cut to 1 week later, and everything's gone crazy.
Yes, and now the town is officially gone. There's like people in
in
mass, the militants trying to do everything to try and find this hacker, and they think it might be a hunt or something.
Yeah, they said
bitch.
17,000 people or something like that were hacked. They find Marty, the guy who was interrogated by the police, and
yeah, well, who finds Marty? Nick finds Marty and threatens to torture him.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm just gonna take your foot off, Marty. It's okay.
and so they torture him into confessing that Lily was the hacker
because he said, I was keeping a track of all the data from the IP who was uploading and downloading. The person that uploaded the most data was from this IP address, which was Lily's house. So therefore, she must be the hacker.
And so then Lily and her friends see this confession because it's put online.
Mm-hmm. When they're just hanging out.
And then we get
like
this
cool red jackets.
Yeah, so again, very stylized with the clothing and everything, and they all four of them have matching red jackets,
which is cool.
And
I want a jacket like that and 3 friends like that.
I know, right? That'd be because there's always these scenes where when they line up and walk to the classroom or whatever, they show like a side shot of just their boots and like walking in sync with each other.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
And then we get a cool shot of like this cool panning around the house because they see that and they're like, oh crap, there's going to be people after us because they think Lily is the hacker. And so they go to make sure the alarm is off. So they're panning around the house with the camera and you see people in masks like sneaking around the house. And then you're seeing in the windows as the girls are going through room to room. Mm-hmm. And then you find that someone actually got in and the whole house is just swarming with masked men. And Sarah goes down and she's attacked. And then I think M gets attacked or something. Lily's about to be attacked downstairs. And then the friend's mom, played by what's her name? Anika Nani Rose.
Nice.
She starts shooting the intruders. She shot the guy that was about to attack Lily.
Nice.
And then she ends up getting shot, which was terrible because it's like she gets shot in the side. And then later she's like going against a wall and like she's putting her hand and making noise. Mm-hmm. And the guy on the other side of the wall hears it and just shoots through the wall and hits her right through the brain box. But Bex is outside and she gets attacked by a guy with a nail gun and they fall into the pool and she ends up getting the upper hand.
Yeah, she barely survives.
And shoots him like 23 times with a nail gun.
Nice.
And then she runs. So she got out. I think Em and Sarah both got captured because then the cop, they're trying to get a hold of the cops too, but then the cop comes and he's rallying the vigilantes.
Like, he's kind of become the whole, not great.
Yeah, because he's been hacked too, obviously. Mm-hmm. They don't come out and say it, but obviously he has. And he's like screaming at the people, we're good people, right? You know, and it's like, well, not necessarily if you turn into a mob. When you're part of an angry mob,
at this point you might as well have a torch and pitchfork.
Yeah. It's bad that you got hacked, but you don't turn into an angry mob. That's the worst thing you can do. And Bex is eventually caught by the football players. Unfortunately, the one group of people she really doesn't want to run into, she runs into. And we see that Diamond, after he got beat up by the football players, they coerced him into, he's the one putting the noose around Bex's neck. And and you can see he's remorseful about it. Like, he doesn't want to do it, but like he's caught because it's like, what do I do? But
yeah.
The real solution is don't kill someone just because you're going to get beat up.
Or potentially killed.
Or potentially killed because the town's gone crazy. So it's a terrible position.
So then Lily, kind of on her own, runs to
runs to Daddy.
Runs to Daddy
because she doesn't know that he's a bad guy yet.
Yes. Then she realizes, oh no, he's the one that did it. He's evil. He tries to kill her. She kills him, and then she saves her friends thanks to the power of guns. Yeah, because she finds just this whole arsenal like laid out on a blanket in his house after she slits his throat. And this is where the carnage starts because the attacks at the house, and then we get to this where she finds a dead body. It turns into a horror film. Yeah. And she finds Marty. Poor Marty. Yeah, and then she slits his throat and just blood gushing everywhere. And then we cut back to Diamond actually having the change of heart and says, I'm not going to do it. So one of the other football players knocks him out. Mm-hmm. Bex gets away, and then Em and Sarah are saved. Because they're they're in the cop car, and all of a sudden the cop is driving down the street with them and just sees a girl in the middle of the road with just like gun strapped to her back and like just a giant gun in her hands, and he gets out and is like, you're in trouble, Missy, and starts to pull his gun, and so she blows him away. Yep. Saves her friends. They all get guns. They go save Bex before she gets home. Kill the football players. They have a giant gunfight, and then I like that like they're all shooting at each other, and they keep saying stop. Like, if you just stop, we won't kill you. Like can you just stop? And they're like, no. And so they shoot some more, and then it's just left down to the main leader of the football guys, and they walk up to it. He goes, I surrender, whatever, and
They walk up to him, put a gun to his head.
Because that was Diamond, right?
No, because Diamond was
Oh, yeah.
somewhere else. And he says, I'm sorry, so sorry. And they let him go. They show mercy, which, considering they're being attacked for things they didn't do, they took the upper road there, the higher road.
And then we get to sort of our Independence Day moment where she's rallying all the women and all the girls that have been part of this, terrible sexist patriarchy, and then they all get together and smash the patriarchy. Yeah. They get together for looks like this really cool gunfight between like all the regular older people who are angry, and then all the young women who are also angry, and they're holding guns, and they've got these nice kind of superhero poses almost.
And what I liked about this was she sends out a video, and after she saves her friend, she sends out a video and says, we're expected to be sexy, not sexy, never told what we can be, but we're never told what to do. They never ask what we actually want. And kind of lays out the whole thesis of the film, and like even the hypocrisy of like we're told to be this, but then we're told to be the exact opposite, and this and that and this and that, and it is something that like young women have to go through like so much, and we have to look a certain way in our Instagram photos, otherwise and that's how everybody sees us in these videos and pictures and posts, and we have to be so perfect in them, but
this
that's
will
not
be our Independence Day,
but we're not. And so what I liked about the ending when they have the confrontation and cut to black is that all of the men that are so hypocritical and then are so sexist and everything, they're hiding behind masks, and all of the girls that are trying to fight this go out as themselves. They're not in masks. They're just walk out there and say, this is us.
That's a good point. I didn't notice that.
So, and then they cut there
to like a FBI interrogation.
And we find out that it was actually coming from her house, but it was her little brother.
It was her little brother.
This was one of my favorite lines of the movie because it really is like
terrorism, life in prison, all these other charges against him.
Why would you do something like this? And the kid just looks at him and goes, I don't know, for the lulz. And I was like, that's indicative of that's what people do on the internet is they do all of these mean, horrible things just for a laugh, and they don't realize how many people are hurting them, or they're hurting. And so if one thing this movie did get a message through is that all of this hurtful stuff you do on the internet that you think is just funny and all in fun, you're hurting people, and like you're affecting so many people with these random comments and like anonymous comments you put out there.
But calling the president on Twitter a dummy, that's okay, because it's a very different power dynamic.
Yeah. So that is something that like, I thought it would be fun to hack everybody. And that's,
so at the end of the day, we live in a society. But yeah, this is a good movie. I went into this movie cold, was not expecting this.
Yeah, I did watch this last spring because I had heard about it, but I never really saw a trailer or anything. I just heard it was a good movie, and I went in cold that first time too. And at first, the first like 15, 20 minutes, I'm going, what am I watching? And then finally I got what they were going for. I was like, and I was just in for the ride. So
yeah, it's definitely a ride.
Yeah, and then the very end, the end credits it just goes to the marching band marching down the street playing music, and you got like all these shot up cars and dead
like
bodies.
With Sarah like twirling her baton or something.
Yeah.
I forget what song they're playing at the end.
Yeah, because it's the band playing, so there's no like lyrics.
Yeah, I recognized it.
I did too, but I don't know if I could.
I think it was a Lady Gaga song.
It could.
I don't remember.
But yeah, it was just marching down the street with dead bodies and shot up cars and everything, and just all this carnage. Like
as you do.
So overall recommendation.
Yeah, I think so. I'd watch it again.
This was one of those movies that we randomly got that I had actually seen before, and I enjoyed watching it a second time.
A little rough in places, I thought, but definitely overall a good movie.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is for the squeamish, it does get violent at the end. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, when it's trying to make a point... Fair amount of blood,
fair amount of gore, so...
There's not a lot of... This is one of those movies where it's all text and no subtext.
And that's okay.
And it really works because of the style of the movie and what they were going for. It was just, like you said, it's an angry movie.
It feels very over the top, almost not quite to like Baz Luhrmann levels where he sort of enjoys the stylism for the sake of stylism.
Yeah. It's almost an exploitation type movie.
It almost does feel, because it's very angry, very dirty.
Yeah.
They reference kind of like rape revenge movies.
Yeah. So I would, for people who can tolerate that kind of a movie, I really recommend this one. I liked this a lot. So, apparently 73% of 129 critics on Rotten Tomatoes like this as well. The users were torn, 55%. So
I can see that.
Yeah, I can too. It like I said, if you're not into this kind of movie, like it can very
come across taken aback,
over the top, and like almost too much. This movie was opened on September 21st, 2018. So it's only a year old. It made $1 million opening weekend and grossed a total of $2 million. So I can't imagine that the budget was real high. I didn't find that, but
also with like festival deals and stuff. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
How exactly? Yeah, where it came from.
But other than that, I didn't really find much about this movie. I rented the DVD.
The director is Samuel Levinson, son of Barry Levinson, who made Men in Black and a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, okay. I recognize
Samuel Levinson. I know now has like an HBO show that he's been working on with Zendaya called Euphoria. I've heard very good things about that. They cover some of the same sort of ground and same basic themes, very stylized look at high school.
Interesting.
And I've heard really good things about Euphoria, so who knows?
Yeah, I'd be interested to check out more of what this guy does. So yeah, so there wasn't a lot of background information on this film. It's fairly new though, so. And I don't think, it made $2 million at the box office and it was only there a couple of weeks, I think, in the theater.
Yeah, it didn't have a very wide release. Like I said, we didn't really even see much for marketing, so
yeah,
it wasn't pushed that hard.
So I think we can move on to the double feature aspect of this. And what do you got for us for another companion piece?
I don't know. This one was kind of tough. Stuff that had very, very much kind of the same, righteous anger, as I guess what a way would be put it. I think would be the biggest thing that stuck out to me, and that was a tough one. So come back to me.
Okay, I went with it's going to be a completely different movie, but it deals with some of the same topics of what girls are expected to be and like how they're portrayed on social media and what they like, how they portray themselves on social media and all that. And I went with that theme and went with something that's a little more low key and is more of a coming of age drama. 8th Grade. I don't know if you've seen that one yet.
No, but I heard good things.
It's a very awkward movie. It's a girl in 8th grade, obviously, and she is a very awkward girl. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She doesn't really have any friends, but she posts a lot of stuff on Instagram to try and get people to like her. And you see, like, they'll flash through and go, 1 view, 0 views on your YouTube channel or whatever. Kind of like ours right now.
Nice.
But but yeah, we have no friends. She's just in that awkward phase of trying to figure things out because then there's also the popular girls and all that. So figuring yourself out before going into high school and how you portray yourself on social media. And there's a really good, honest, genuine scene at the end with her dad because, she acts like a typical teenager, like, oh, Dad, I don't like you, just leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. And there's a great scene that interacts between those two at the end of the movie. And it's just a really good film. It's very awkward to watch because she's portrayed as an awkward teenager and it's,
nice.
and there can be scenes where it's just almost cringeworthy, but it's done in such a good way, and the overall movie is it's just a really good film. So, and it's a lot easier to handle than Assassination Nation. So if you want something that's not going to be blood and guts and all angry and actually, and actually has the opposite side of it, because these were in Assassination Nation, it was good looking girls who were posting stuff on the internet already. And like, this is an awkward person trying to pretend she's something she's not because because she doesn't have friends. She wants to be popular. She wants all this. She doesn't know how to achieve that. So it's almost the other side of it from what Assassination Nation was. So
For me, I guess I can only really go with the obvious one. I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to go with Mean Girls, who takes the basic same material of how high school is terrible and a lot of the stereotypes people have to live up with and how high school social pressures, except it takes it in a very different direction. A very, very different direction as more of a comedy, which has, of course, become a cult classic in its own right for good reason.
It's very well written by Tina Fey.
Tina Fey, definitely. And then, like Tim Meadows shows up as like the principal, too.
Yeah. It's good to see Tim Meadows getting work.
It's a great cast. Has gone on to do a lot of great stuff. And Lindsay Lohan was probably the biggest name at the time. Has now become more reality TV stuff. So,
and now Rachel McAdams is probably the bigger name out of the group of girls.
Amanda Seyfried, all these other.
Yeah, that's true. She was in it too.
And just it's very quotable, and it's one of those things where, like, I remember Mean Girls Day is October 3rd. Want to know why? Because on October 3rd, he asked me what day it was. It's October 3rd.
Yeah, that's a very good movie. So
yes,
these are a couple more milder, a drama and a comedy. So you got like a whole spectrum of movies to go with here.
And 4 for Glen Coco. So way to go, Glen Coco.
So those are our recommendations, and we recommend the main attraction of Assassination Nation also. So what do you think? Should we go all genres next time?
Sure. Let's see what that brings up.
Because I feel like when we go like thriller, we get a drama. When we go comedy, we get like
a drama.
A drama. We go action, we get a thriller. And so
yeah,
the only ones that really give us something is cult and horror, really, and maybe science fiction.
Because those genres are relatively easy to define. So sometimes it's kind of hard to define like a comedy in some sense because like an action movie is something like Lethal Weapon. But it's also a very funny movie. Yeah,
so that could fall into a comedy
or action, yeah.
Or action. So so we'll just go all genres this time.
Or something like Fargo, which is a dark comedy.
Yeah. So
it's
you got
also
satire,
movie, so
dark comedy, comedy. Yeah.
Genre can be very mutable.
So 70% or better. Spin the wheel. Let's go to more info here. This is a well-known movie, so let's see.
What is it, Kyle? What is it?
From the moment she arrives in Freiburg, Germany, to attend the prestigious Tanz Academy, American ballet dancer Susie Banyan senses that something horribly evil lurks within the walls of the age-old institution.
Why, it's Debbie Does Dallas.
Yes, it is.
It's the best little whorehouse in Texas with Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. We'll cover that movie one of these days. I keep talking about it.
It is the Dario Argento classic Suspiria.
I was wondering which version it was going to be.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's the Argento version because I watched the remake and I was bored to tears.
Isn't it a lot longer too?
Yes, it's a terrible movie.
I'm sure we'll get there. So yeah, it's Suspiria.
Suspiria, you can find it on Popcorn Flicks and Tubi TV.
All right.
And you can find us on, before we go,
Find
Twitter.
us on the Twitters. I'm at Noah_Saturn, SATERN.
I am at AwesomeKM. And you can find us on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. We have a Gmail, We Don't Know What to Watch at gmail.com. If you write us a letter, we'll read it on air.
Yeah, send us an email. Don't send us a physical letter.
And in the meantime, smash that like button.
Smash that like button, hit the bell to subscribe, and we'll try and get this show onto more platforms.
And until next time, you can send me an email, but don't send me those nude pics.
Until next time, did she even go here?